Hello to all our attendees. My name is Nicole Gordon-Recht, and I am the Education Consultant and Trainer with Lightworks Communication Systems. We are an audio-visual integration specialist, and of course, one of our greatest focuses today is working with and partnering with educational institutions to prepare for and support hybrid learning. Today, we have one of our preferred partners, Nureva, presenting a state-of-the-art audio conferencing solution. I think you will find tremendous value in Nureva's HDL300 system as we continue to engage in hybrid learning and seek to reach all students in and out of the classroom without compromising intelligibility. I want to thank Ryan Blomfield, Channel Manager with Nureva, for being here. Ryan, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Nicole. Hi, everybody. I'm Ryan Blomfield. I'm the Channel Manager for the Western U.S. Here at Nureva. Nureva is a Canadian company. We're located in Calgary, Alberta, and we're super excited that you took the time today to join us for this webinar. I think you're going to find this information valuable and very compelling. If you're looking for hybrid learning or high flex learning solutions, something that supports not only physical distance in the classroom, but engages the students remotely, this could very well be the product that you're looking for. So without any further ado, we're just going to get right into it. I don't know if I'm going to do much in PowerPoint today. I don't think that PowerPoint really conveys just how amazing the HDL300 system with our microphone mist technology really is. And you might be sitting there saying, what is he even talking about? What is this HDL3000 thing that he just mentioned? This is it right here. This is the HDL300, okay? And in this room, I actually have two of these. You just can't see the other one right now. We'll show it to you in a little bit. But this is a big room, okay? This is the largest room in our headquarters. It's roughly 40 feet by 35 feet. And so it's the biggest space we've got. In fact, our product could do even bigger spaces than this. Our maximum coverage for a dual HDL300 is 50 feet by 30 feet. So we can do an even larger space. And we'll talk a little bit about that here with you today and introduce you to just how this technology could revolutionize the way that you teach remotely and the way that you support the classroom in the future. So without any further ado, I'm going to invite in a couple of students, okay? We're going to do a bit of a mock classroom setting here. So the students are going to come on into the room and have a seat here, and they're just going to play along with me, okay? These are actually a couple of my colleagues at Nureva, and they've been kind enough not only to come in here today, but also to put up with me not wearing a mask the whole time. Certainly not because I don't want to, but it's awfully difficult to do a long webinar and breathe and run around the room with a mask on your face. But you'll notice my colleagues are wearing their masks. They will continue to do so. And at some points through the webinar, I too will put on my mask and will demonstrate that our microphone mist technology actually works very well in this new reality where we're going to be wearing masks for at least a little while to come. I think fair to say that's inevitable. So we've got a solution that is going to cover all of the bases here for you today. And again, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us in the webinar. Please stick around. Of course, we've got the draw for those gift cards at the end of the webinar. So here we go. Let's just get started. You've heard HDL300. You heard me say microphone mist technology, and those terms might not mean anything to you at all. So when I'm referring to the HDL300, I'm talking about the hardware, okay? This is a fully integrated speaker and microphone bar. It's got two 20-watt speakers in it, very good quality speakers, and it has 12 high-quality omnidirectional microphones in it, okay? It doesn't look like anything special at first glance. I'll be the first to acknowledge that. There's a lot of integrated speaker and microphone bars on the market, but I assure you, this one is nothing like any of the other products that it might look like. And that's because of the technology behind the scenes. So microphone mist is what we call our technology. And it might seem like a funny concept at first when I explain it, but once you've heard it in action, and you are hearing it right now, but once you've really heard it with multiple people in the room, I think you'll appreciate that what we're doing here is something very unique. So what do I mean by that? Well, microphone mist technology, first of all, is patented technology. We actually have 4 patents on this technology. It was developed in-house here in Calgary, and there's nothing else like it on the market. Most of the audio conferencing systems on the market are made by some very big name companies, audio companies who've been around for a long, long time. And I'll be the first to acknowledge, Nureva is relatively new. We've been developing this product. It's been in the market now for just about 4 years. And it's only been in the last 18 months, I would say, that this product has really taken off. And a big reason for that is, unfortunately, COVID-19. The world as we know it has changed. The classroom as we know it has changed. Our meetings have changed. And I'm going to venture to say that's a permanent change. I know a lot of people say, well, when it's all over and we go back to normal, I think this is normal. I think we've opened the floodgates, if you will. And the expectation both for students and people in the workforce from now into the future and forever will expect to be able to join remotely. They will expect to be able to keep a safe distance from other people in the room. They will expect this in every class, every meeting for eternity. I think we've got a new reality. And so when we're talking about classrooms specifically here, because I realize we've got a large number of higher ed institutions here. We've also got some folks from K-12 schools and some enterprises and companies who are here as well. But the vast majority of people in the conference today are with colleges and universities. And so you'll hear me use those reference points quite a bit here. But I think what you'll ultimately understand in the end is that all of these values, all of the great things about the HDL300 and microphone mist really cross over across all of those different users, whether you're a university professor or a CFO at a company, or it doesn't really matter. You're using this product for the same reason, so that you can connect and clearly understand the person that you're meeting with or the class that's being taught. And so in this room right now, we have over 16,000 microphones. I'll say that again. Over 16,000 microphones. Where are they? They're invisible. They're virtual microphones. Bear with me. I'll try and explain without giving away our patents. So I mentioned that the bars themselves have 12 omnidirectional microphones in them. Remember, I've got 2 bars in this room. So I've got 24 omnidirectional microphones that are on all the time. Not just when I'm in a class or in a Zoom call at 3 in the morning when there's nobody in the building. The HDL300 system is listening. So what is it listening for? There's nobody in the building. Well, in this building, this room in particular, I've got all sorts of things that the HDL300 is listening for. I'll start pointing them out. Most of them are up high here in the ceiling. So in this room, this 40 by 35 room, I've got 5 HVAC vents. Now, I'm in Calgary, Canada. The temperature can swing wildly. 3-4 weeks ago, it was minus 40 Celsius. Today, it's 20 Celsius. It's just, that's Calgary. And so I can hear the HVAC today. It's starting to, not very loud, but it's starting to give us a little cool air this afternoon because it's a beautiful day. For Canada in April, this is a beautiful day. When it was minus 40, these were very loud. I couldn't concentrate without hearing the HVAC. The other thing that I really have a hard time concentrating when I hear We've got these silly white noise generators in our office. We didn't put them there. It just happened to be there when we moved into the building. Most people don't notice them. I happen to be particularly sensitive to them. They drive me crazy. So right now I'm hearing a little bit of HVAC and I'm hearing that white noise. The other thing that I hear, and some of you who are more perceptive might have already picked this up and thought about it, I hear the fans on these two projectors. Now, I don't want to mislead you. They're not terribly loud fans, okay? But they're audible in the room. I want everybody on the webinar just to stop for a second. If you've got headphones, put them on, turn up the volume, and listen in. You're not hearing the HVAC noise. You're certainly not hearing that white noise that drives me crazy. And even though these two projectors are less than a foot away from the HDL300 at the front of the room, you don't hear the fans. And the reason that you don't hear those fans is because of an element in our technology that we call intelligent sound targeting. What that means is that the HDL300 system, because it's on and listening all the time, learns those noises, and it learns them very well. And then when the HVAC noise happens, the HDL300 just cancels that frequency right out of the conference audio. Now, I can still hear it in the room, but you can't. And that's really the key value here, right? Because it could be the sort of thing, especially a HVAC noise or a white noise that's just going the whole time. If I was a student, I would find it very difficult to engage and pay attention if I was hearing that kind of noise. Now, a little bit different when it comes to intermittent noises. You know those noises, right? Especially in the classroom. Rustling papers. That one student just can't stop playing the drums on his desk. Or the other student who, I'm going to need my glasses here. Don't want to make any typos. You know that student who types too loud? There's always one. They don't realize you can just be gentle, touch the keys, they hammer on them. And Murphy's Law says they're going to hammer on those keys right at the most important part of the lesson. When everybody's listening in intently, writing notes. Somebody's typing their notes. So I'm going to do a little quick demo here where I talk and type at the same time. And I don't need my glasses to type. Here we go. I don't know anybody in real life who types that loud. I also realized I just left the computer on and may have almost closed the Zoom call. That was silly. Keyboard is turned off. I'm going to do that again because I'm not sure you heard, and I'm not going to hammer the keys, but I am going to type loud. Ready? Pretty loud typing. It's certainly more excessive force than most people need to type notes. And if I had tabletop microphones or some of the legacy audio conferencing systems, all you would hear is that keyboard. You'd hear it like it was thunder on the opposite end. But that's not what you're hearing right now. In fact, if you were listening carefully, you would have noticed that the keyboard noise actually drops into the background, and the focus is always on my voice. Anytime there's a human voice and it's intermittent noise, the HDL300 is intelligent enough to recognize that that is distracting and that my voice, whoever's voice, is the key component, right? It's the communication. That's what's important. So the HDL300 always focuses in on the human voice. Now, in this room, I mentioned there's over 16,000 virtual microphones. You could well imagine that with that many microphones, there shouldn't be anywhere in the room that would be considered a dead zone, right? If we could do 16,000 virtual microphones, we should be able to put them in the corners. So I'm going to quickly demonstrate this technology for you so that you believe it, so that you understand just how amazing this is at picking up voices no matter where they are, no matter how quiet they are, if they mumble, if they're in a corner or at this spot in the room. Notice, by the way, all windows. We're on the 13th floor of an office tower in downtown Calgary. If you know much about audio, you know that glass is kind of the enemy of audio. It makes things more difficult. We get resonance, we get echo. Right now, I've got my back to both HDL300s, 20 feet behind me, and my nose almost touching the window as I look at the little people below. And you can hear every word that I'm saying. Now, a lot of audio conferencing systems, a lot of really expensive audio conferencing systems for that matter, couldn't do that. Right? In fact, they wouldn't even try. Somebody would say, well, why do we need to steer the beam over there? Nobody's going to stand at the window with their back to the room. But why can't they? If this is an inspiring position as I'm, brainstorming some ideas with my team, then shouldn't I be heard? I'll tell you what, I'll show you the worst spot in the room for audio, and then we're going to get to our students. Down here in the corner, see this giant pillar? These things are all over in the building. I think they're structural. They're solid cement, pretty dense. I'm going to go in behind the pillar here. Okay, I'm going to get to the very corner of the room. So at this point, I'm more than 30 feet from the one bar and about 20 feet from the other. I'm going to put my nose in the corner where the glass meets the wall or the window frame. Okay. I need somebody, maybe ask Nicole or David at Lightworks, just to reassure me. Can you hear my voice?
We can hear your voice.
What?
It's true.
That's amazing. Yeah, nobody does that in a class, right? You don't go and talk to yourself in the corner.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No, I'm joking. Ryan, I have a couple questions in the Q&A. I don't know if now is a good time to bring them up or if that's going to disrupt your flow. We can totally wait, but.
Nicole, one of the things I should have said at the beginning, one of the things for me personally is if I've got a question, it drives me crazy if I'm trying to remember my question and hold on to it to the end, because one of two things happens. I remember the question, but I don't remember anything between the question and the time I got to answer it or ask it, or I forget the question. So now is a great time for questions.
Fantastic. Our first question is, what are the limits for ceiling height?
Well, that one's a little tricky. There's more factors at play than just the ceiling height. So even the walls themselves could be a factor combined with high ceilings. I'm always a little cautious about very, very high ceilings. This product certainly isn't going to go in an auditorium. Okay, that's a little beyond our capabilities, and certainly the kind of thing that you would put a very high-end component audio system into. Our maximum coverage, as I said before, is 50 by 30 in terms of ceiling height. And one of my students might correct me on this, but because he's actually my best support guy, Ben. We're going to break character. Ben, what's your recommendation on ceiling height? I was going to say no more than 20 feet. Usually 14 is nice or lower.
From a technical standpoint, you just want to mount the speaker bars at 85 inches or higher, but not too high. So the speaker bar has to be mountable, but then your ceiling height can be as high as you want. There's no maximum. So you can go up as high, but the speaker bar has to be 85 inches, usually between 85 and let's say 100 inches.
Awesome. Okay, so this guy knows. Okay, he gets drawings and pictures from our customers and resellers all the time. And he's got 3 others on the team with him, and they are happy to look at those pictures and give you not only advice on whether it's going to work well, because usually it will, even with a high ceiling. I'm always kind of conservative. I guess I'm just going to say it doesn't matter from now on. I've usually said nothing higher than 20 feet. I will add one thing to that, though. If the room is already an echo chamber and you've got sound bouncing around in your ceilings because it's a atrium and it's glass, just remember there's only so much magic we can do. When you've got a an acoustically challenging space to begin with, this product works very well, but it doesn't perform miracles if you're in a very, very challenging space. That's, I guess, how I would put that.
Excellent. Ryan, we have another question.
Sure.
The question states, we are using the built-in mics in the D10 monitors in our Zoom rooms. How does this compare to the multi-mics in the LCD TV? They were the best that we have heard.
I'm not sure I understand the question. I know the D10 display. I know the mics on that. They're not great, but they're not terrible. It's the last part of the question I did not understand. Which display are they referring to? And I don't know it.
Well, I guess that there must be some audio that are coming. The D10 monitors have some, I guess, some built-in audio.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that the question's regarding how the Nureva compares to the audio existing within the monitor of the D10.
So the audio output is what I'm going to assume. The speakers. Is that what you're getting from that?
Well, they specifically refer to the multi mics. So I think it's actually audio input. I'll ask Robert to please clarify if he's comfortable, but
absolutely. Let's move on from that one. But I will say this: the D10 is actually pretty good. I mean, you know, a lot, and you would know this. The folks at Lightworks would know this, right? The quality on microphones and speakers and displays varies widely, right? And so, but I'll say this: the D10 can't do what we're doing here, right? If I turn away from the D10, and yes, there's multi-mics in the room, and it does a pretty good job. But if I was, remember when I stood over here, the D10 was 20 feet behind me, it wouldn't stand out. It just would not pick up my voice as clearly as microphone mist does. I'm not saying it's a bad product. I am familiar. A lot of schools have adopted D10 along with their Zoom licenses. Nothing wrong with the product, but pretty confident we've got something that performs a lot more valuable functions, and we'll show you some of those as we go along.
thank you so much.
Sure, yeah, of course. We'll take another set of questions here after the next couple of features we're going to show, because I think these are going to get some people excited.
Perfect. And please do continue with the questions to all of our participants. Please continue asking those questions. We will be taking breaks to answer them throughout the webinar.
Awesome. Thanks, Nicole. And thanks, everybody. Your questions are all welcome, like she said. Remember I said there was a second HDL300 in this room? And you were like, yeah, show it to me. And then remember I said, my students? Well, we've got Ben, and I'd like to introduce Andrea.
Hi, everyone.
Andrea is playing a university student today. She certainly looks young enough to be one, but she's actually our international channel manager here at Nureva, and she's been kind enough to come into the office just to support us here today. So let's go back there. Okay, because I didn't stay there very long. This room is bigger than what you can see, right, Andrea?
Yes.
Okay, remember I mentioned the pillar? Well, there's another one, another giant 2.5 foot thick cement pillar. Behind the pillar is another 17 or 18 feet of room. Now, it's not a really useful space. It's triangular, as you'll notice as we go through the room, but there's a lot more room back there. We just couldn't put the camera behind the pillar. It would have looked silly. So because this room is so big, we need to ensure that we've got not only enough microphone coverage to cover the entire 40 by 35 space, but we also want to make sure we've got enough amplification to hear the remote users. And so, as I mentioned before, I'm on that. What's going on? Did I do that? Okay, apparently I might have sounded awful there for a second, and that was maybe my fault. I'll explain why in a second. Coming back to this, and I only noticed because Active Zone showed me red. We've got 4 20-watt speakers in this room, at more than enough volume to fill this room with the remote audio. So whether that's other students asking questions or making comments or having input to the discussion from home, or whether that's program audio, you're showing a video or some web content on the display and you want to hear it in the room. This is your program audio, it's also your remote audio. In this room, we've got those 4 speakers and 24 microphones, right? So lots of live microphones able to hear everything because our software turns those real microphone signals into 16,000 plus data points, okay? So we've got audio anywhere in the room. I proved that by going in the corner behind the pillar. But I'm a pretty, I don't know, I'm annoying, I'm loud. I project my voice. So you might be thinking, well, of course I can hear this guy, right? You can probably hear him across the street. He's loud. Ben and Andrea are far more soft-spoken than me. So what I'd like to do is demonstrate a feature that we call active zone control. And I may have accidentally triggered the active zone a couple of minutes ago when I said, wait a minute, I don't sound good. I think I hit the wrong button, okay? I don't have the remote. I think I gave it to Ben and he put it in his pocket. That's the thing I don't like about remotes, especially the little ones like that. They tend to find their way into people's pockets. The good news is you won't have to use this remote very often. All it does is it lets you turn up and down the volume. It lets you mute the mic. You saw earlier. But it also lets you do a couple of things that are features. And the one that I want to show you right now, as I mentioned, is active zone control. So it's a function button on my remote. Most of the time, this remote will be tucked away because the volume controls, the mute, all of those regular functions you're going to use all the time, they already work. We're integrated with the mute button in Zoom or in Microsoft Teams. If you change the volume, it works with the bar, okay? But for active zone control, I do need this function key on the remote control. And you might be thinking, he said active zone control 3 times. I don't know what he's talking about. Active zone control allows me to take those 16,000 plus active microphones and focus it down to 1,000 microphones, 500 microphones, 2,000 microphones, anything I want. Now, we don't get into the specifics. You don't go in there and say, I want 2,500 11 mics open. What you do is you go into a graphic interface in our software and you pick an area of the room that you want to focus the mics on. And to put this into context, this is a feature that is used extensively by our education customers. And we have some big ones, okay? Internationally, Andrea, I was talking with her before the webinar because she deals a lot with, well, all sorts of countries, but a lot of sales have happened in the United Kingdom. And so just as an example, is it Leiden Medical University has 70 rooms. King's College has 40 of the HDL300 systems. Here in North America, our largest higher ed customer to date is the Northeastern Wisconsin Technical College. And they have 200 rooms using microphone mist now. Did they start with 200? Of course not. They bought, I think, 2. They put them in 2 different buildings on campus. And then that grew. I think the next order was 70. And then the last order was for 130. And I think that's pretty telling. They proved out the product. They've used it now in their in the last semester, found it very successful. And now they're going to do the rest of their rooms, or at least another big chunk of rooms this summer. The reason I mention it is because of features like this. I'm turning on the active zone right now, and I'll explain what it is as I do that. What is going on? Oh, Ben's trying to help me out in the software. you know what? I'm not the kind of guy who's just going to pretend there isn't a problem. There's a problem. We we got excited and we tried to make a few adjustments to make it sound even better before this webinar, and then we adjusted a little too much. And so, bear with me. Active zone control is turned on with the remote control. You'll notice that the LED light, the blue light on the bar, got smaller. It's telling me that the active zone is turned on. As the professor, as the instructor, I'm able to do that with the remote control. Right now, the active zone is 8 feet by 8 feet, right here in front of the bar. Why? Well, we use this room as a presentation space. At least before COVID, we would have all sorts of meetings in here. And so when our CEO, Nancy Knowlton, would present to the team, she would often stand here. And sometimes she kind of moves around. She needs about 8 by 8 to feel comfortable in presenting and, you know, to be open and gesture, right? But beyond that 8 by 8 is not completely silent. I want to be clear, but we are applying a noise gate to control any of the background noises happening in the room. And there's some background noise happening right now. I think Andrea was really like this when she was a university student. She's kind of like this sometimes around the office. You know, you're having a meeting and an important one at that, and she's talking. She's talking on her phone. I'm just teasing. She's not like that in real life at all. She's very courteous. But today, Andrea is going to play my trouble student, the pain, right? The one who's always making noise during the class. Now, right now, active zone is turned on. I'm confident that I am definitely heard on the remote end, right? I'm in the zone. I'm going to walk out of the zone just to show you how my voice changes once I step out of it. Okay, now I'm talking at the same volume. Haven't changed anything, but I'm much more muted. Why do you still hear me? I'm the only sound in the room right now. We've got 24 open omnidirectional microphones right now. And aside from completely muting the room, this is what you get. You get much quieter. Now, let's show you in real life how that works. Could you even hear me? Yeah, but you can hear me much better now. Let's give you a real life example. I am the instructor. Okay, we've got a hands-on lab here. This is computer science. This is experiential learning. And Andrea has no interest in this subject whatsoever. She thought it would be easy credits, I think. And she's just killing time in the back of the room while a student like Ben is attentive, right? This is where he wants to go with his life. This is important. He probably really doesn't appreciate Andrea always, you know, chatting, texting, talking to the person next to her. Well, let's go and have a look at Andrea. Remember, active zone is on. Okay, in the back of the room, the second bar isn't picking up much of anything. So when I said 12, I meant 12 open mics. Only one bar, this one, is focused.
So yeah, should we go to the restaurant later after class once this is done? Yeah, I agree. Let's go. That'd be fun. Maybe we can play some basketball after. Okay, sure. Yeah, we can go play basketball.
Sorry, I made her talk for far too long there because I lost control of the of driving the video camera there. But Andrea was having a very audible conversation with her imaginary friend in the desk next to her, or on the tiered seating next to her. I could hear her plain as day from here. If I was an instructor, it would take all of the self-control in the world not for me not to say, get out of here. There's people who want to learn right now and you're talking. Let's do that again. Except this time we're going to turn off active zone. Why? Believe it or not, Andrea has a question. So it's mid-lesson. Oh, Andrea's got a question. I'm going to turn off the active zone, right? And you'll notice here, when I turn off the active zone, the full LED shows up again. What, Andrea? Oh, she probably just, you know what? She probably just wants to use the restroom, but all of the 16,000 virtual microphones are open right now. Yes, Ms. Olson, what is it?
Hey, Ryan, is this going to be on the exam? This topic?
Which part, Andrea? Which part specifically?
This part we were just talking about.
Well, could you repeat what we were talking about? I think you were talking about what restaurant you and your friends are going to go tonight. That's what I heard, Andrea. Anyway, you get the idea, okay? The presenter, and whether that's in a training scenario, in a corporate environment, a K-12 classroom, or currently our biggest market, universities and colleges who've adopted this product widespread because of its price point, but more because of its powerful value. Okay, this is priced much more favorably than a multi-component system that often can't even do the same job. And if it can, it's going to cost you a lot more. So having that simple control as the presenter, whether I'm a teacher or whether I'm the CEO, gives me that flexibility and that confidence, right? You never know. I hate that. You go up and you do a presentation and you don't always really know until the end how well you were heard. I'm having that anxiety right now even, and this is a great product. But you've seen, right, we've had a couple of stumbles here. But I think what you're hearing and what you're observing here is really what's most important. And this is a very flexible product that accomplishes two very important things. It gives us full room coverage for microphones. No more lapel mics, right? You didn't like lapel mics to begin with. Nobody wants to share a lapel mic. People lose them. Sometimes you have to charge them. We certainly don't want those, remember the handheld mics? Pass that around for the student questions. Well, there was problems with that, and not just COVID, right? How long does that mic take to get to the back of the room for Andrea to ask a question? Okay, well, then we can put that mic in a central location. The students come up and ask questions. Well, that works okay, but now we're still sharing a mic. You'll notice that everything beyond that simple function button for active zone control is hands-free, right? Speakers and microphones are up on the wall, out of reach for most people unless they play on the NBA. There's nothing to touch. There's nothing to share. We can be physically distanced. We can do what I should have been doing all along, which is wearing our masks, okay? And together, we can communicate. And you, on the opposite end, can hear everything. Now, one of the questions that's probably already in there for Nicole is, yeah, but what happens when there's a bunch of people talking at the same time? And, you know, I've heard other audio conferencing systems and it sounds like robots and there's clipping, and I don't want that. So we're going to demonstrate that for you right now. Now, this doesn't come naturally to Canadians. Bear with us. We're usually pretty polite. We let each other talk. But right now, we're going to go against our instincts. So let's get this so we can see all of us in. It might mean that we need to move so that we're all on camera. Okay. I just want to see all of us. There we go. Also, while I'm over here, you see this doorway? It's huge. It's a sound sucker. If anybody in the call is very up to date on how audio systems work and the challenges of physics and sound, this is a problem. Okay. If I go into the hall, you're not going to hear me very well. You're not supposed to. Okay. But as soon as I'm in the room, even though I've got this big gaping hole around me, I'm heard well. Aren't I, Ben?
Yes.
Am I?
Could you
Could you kind of get a word in edgewise?
In real life, I can hear you clearly.
In real life, you can hear me clearly. What about you, Andrea?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, of course you can. You're in the room.
No
What
problem.
about our friends at Lightworks? Can they hear us clearly with our masks and we're interrupting each other? Why are you interrupting me, Ben?
We can hear you.
Why are you interrupting me, Nicole? Anyways, we're just being silly, right?
Apologies. And I'm going to interrupt you further because you have created all kinds of interest here in the Q&A section.
Good. Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Can you mount these on the ceiling, or are they meant for the wall?
They are strictly meant for the wall. Without getting into a long discussion about why, I'll just explain simply. Ben mentioned this earlier. The bars need to be mounted high on the wall, minimum of 85 inches off the floor. Usually somewhere between 7 and 10 feet is good. But they need that wall, okay? The physical microphones in the HDL300 are all located down along the bottom of the unit, right along the wall. The only time I ever hear somebody say, my HDL300 doesn't work right, it's because they mounted it right on top of a display and covered up the mics. So it's important that you leave some exposed wall. We have all sorts of details on how you can do that on our support site, and the Lightworks team is excellent. They know how to install these right, but you can't hang it from the ceiling. We are reliant on that wall to some degree for that boundary pickup. The best placement is always on the wall.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Next question. Would they still work behind a projector screen when it's down?
No. So don't put it behind a projector screen. Don't hide it behind. Here's a good example. If you've got a big 85-inch, 4K display in your meeting room or your classroom, because it's so big, it's usually going to be hanging off the wall, like by a lot, 12 inches maybe. When it's hanging off the wall, it's casting a shadow backwards. If you think about your voice as having light, I guess. And anything you do to cover up the voice getting to the microphones is always a negative, right? I know it can hear me through the post and in tricky spots, but it really can't be hidden behind a projector screen, or it needs to be visible. It needs to have exposed wall underneath it. Are there more questions?
Yes.
Awesome.
Does one remote control 2 units?
Yes.
Okay.
The remote is actually universal to any HDL300 or our small room solution, the 200, which really isn't the right solution for this audience, I don't think, but we do have a smaller room version of this technology. But yeah, that's ultimately, I would say yes.
Okay, next question. Have you considered adding an SDI or HDMI input as an option? This would allow users to connect their PTZ cameras and then convert the video to USB, since you already use USB output to the computer.
I'm not going to speak on behalf of our products team, but I would venture to say, knowing what I know and the roadmap of the stuff they're working on, it's not in the plans. Right now, the way that it's a USB peripheral, and so I don't think we're going to be taking on additional inputs for cameras or anything like that. We designed this product intentionally without a webcam. Okay, we had lots of discussions about it. We've had lots of people ask, but if you can imagine what the view from a webcam on top of that bar would be right now, it just wouldn't be good. We give you the flexibility to put the camera anywhere that you want in the room, and typically that's going to be a USB camera, so you will need to have those ports available on the PC.
Great. If you have 2 units, are there 2 active zones?
No. So, good question though, really good question. As it stands today, active zone is like a toggle switch. It's either on or it's off. You can set one active zone in the room at a time. Will that change in the future? Maybe. We could have presets. I think that's a possibility, but right now it's one active zone at a time. Now you can change it anytime you want. It's easy enough to change. The zone can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be the front of the room like I demonstrated. The active zone can be the very far corner in the back of the room if you want. That's how powerful the technology is at creating that zone. But one thing you might have noticed, or it might have just sort of passed you by, is that when we were using active zone, and when I accidentally triggered active zone earlier before I demoed it, the light on the HDL300 above Andrea's head was red. It's showing that that bar currently being muted and it's not in use. It's not picking up her voice. This one, because it's closest to the active zone, is the one that is really using its physical microphones. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Okay.
Okay. Do most classrooms only use one HDL300 or are there always two?
Well, it sort of depends. For a long time there, I got into this habit of using the term standard size classroom as if that was a thing. I know that in some places it kind of is, right? Our single HDL300 is spec'd for rooms up to 25 by 25 feet, okay? If it's close to that, and that's a conservative estimate, it doesn't mean that 26 feet away it doesn't work, but the optimal zone for microphone coverage and also for speaker coverage for one bar is 25 by 25 feet. If the classroom is relatively close to that size, all you need is one. When you get beyond that, any bigger, you're going to need two HDL300s. Okay, the dual system is rated up to 50 feet by 30 feet. So we can do a very large room. That's a big classroom, right? But that's our maximum. So just to be clear, I often get people saying, well, can I string 3 or 4 together? I wish, because then I'd sell twice as many. But no, the limitation from a hardware perspective and also from the software algorithms right now is 50 feet by 30.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ryan. We have another question. Is there any audio level control? Can you boost up the audio in certain regions?
Oh, in regions? No. Outside of what we demonstrated in active zone control, no, you can't say, okay, well, that region needs to be louder, that one needs to be 3 decibels lower. No. The way this system was designed, folks, is so that you don't need to do any of that stuff. And I understand, I can, work out some of the reasons why you might want to have those controls. But this is literally one of those set it and forget it products for the most part. It does not require an engineer to tinker with it or adjust, small increments to make it sound better. There are some very basic controls in our software. So for instance, if you were the IT director or the IT admin responsible for these systems in the classrooms, we have a software application called Nureva Console. And you can think of Console as being a fleet management application, right? A way to, if you're like the technical college in Wisconsin, you've got 200 rooms to manage. It's nice to be able to go in and make sure everything's working right. Do they all have current firmware? Do we need to update the firmware, which is very easy to do? You can actually register the product, extend your warranty through that application with us. But there's some controls remotely. If a teacher says, the speakers sound really irritating, they're kind of tinny. Somebody could go in remotely through Nureva Console and adjust the treble and the bass, right? But you're not going to get the minutia of saying, okay, that 5-foot region is going to be slightly louder than where Ben is seated, and this is, it would just add such a level of complexity unnecessarily. This product is completely self-calibrating, and what that means, and bear with me, but there's lots of people here in California, lots of people in higher ed, so this shouldn't scare you. I've often used the term artificially intelligent to describe this product. Now, that doesn't mean that it's a robot that's going to, jump down off the wall and do some bad stuff. It means that the system is using machine learning. It's always on. It's always aware of its surroundings. And so if the furniture moves, right, this is a flex room. We've got these foamy stairs, the tiered seating, the desks are on wheels, right? We move this stuff around all the time. And we don't have to think about how it's going to sound when we do, because the HDL300 system and microphone mist knows. It's aware that things have moved and that the sound profile and the dimensions and the challenges have changed, and it optimizes itself in real time. Okay? It's continuously calibrating itself, and it continuously gets better, not just with the firmware updates, but as it's in a room, observing things like HVAC noise and furniture that constantly moves, it improves. And I hear this from customers all the time. They bought a couple, tried them out, loved them, came back, through their reseller and said, hey, we'd like to get 20 more. and just wanted to give you some feedback. I'm sure Ben hears this too when he's on a support call or answering an email. People will say, you know, am I crazy, but does the HDL300 sound better now than it did a month ago? Is that possible? And was it just a firmware update? No, actually, there hasn't been a new firmware update this month, but it is possible. In fact, it's very common. And the reason for it is that the system just gets better with time. The longer it's in that room, the more attuned it is to the challenges and changes and how to optimize. That's a long answer, isn't it? But it doesn't really need to be touched, I guess is what I'm saying. Once you've got it up on the wall, you know, more often than not, you're not going to think about fine tuning anything.
Thanks so much, Ryan. We do have a few more questions.
Sure.
Does it work in a divisible wall room configuration?
Another great question. Yes, it does. So this is probably the perfect time for me to talk about how it all connects, how it works, and how somebody would do that in a divisible room. So I'm going to show you what we call our Connect module. Okay, this is the box that the HDL300 system plugs into before it plugs into your computer. So you'll notice there's two RJ45 jacks. Don't worry if you don't know what those are. That's where you plug in the Ethernet cable. In this specific case, they are shielded Cat6 cables, okay? And so each bar plugs into this box with a category cable. There's a power supply for the box, and that's because those category cables are carrying power and data back and forth, right? It's taking the data from the bar and it's powering the bar. So you don't need a plug 10 feet up on the wall. These are PoE. And then most of our customers, especially the universities and colleges, are using this as a USB peripheral running Zoom, Google Meets, Teams, any of the above. And so this is a USB 2.0 connection. If you ever had a printer at home, you recognize that port, very standard USB 2.0. And there are some analog ports there as well. Now, the reason I took you through all of that is just to give you a sense, first of all, of the simplicity of this device. It's modular. If there was a problem, you just, you know, you could swap a piece. I don't actually see any problems with those Connect modules. In fact, we don't get a lot of RMAs on the HDL300 either. And the reason for that is that they are just a rock solid piece of equipment. The only time we get RMAs and they don't work and we have to replace them is when there's a component failure. Somebody didn't solder something right in the factory. And I haven't checked lately, but last time I did, I could count all of the RMAs that I've seen here on less than 2 hands. It's a solid product. Back to the question about divisible rooms and why I was showing you the Connect module is because if you want to do a divisible room, you're going to need 2 of these, okay? Because I'm assuming the reason you want to do that is so that you can have a single HDL300 in each side when it's divided, and then blend them as a dual system when that divider is moved. I'm going to assume that's the use case. If that's the case, you can do it. You'll need to order a spare Connect module, okay, to do this, because each separate single HDL300 system will need one of these. The rest of it's actually inexpensive and very simple to make it into a dual system. And all you need is a simple A/B switch. I think they're about, last time I looked, about $25 on Amazon. And all you're doing is just A is 2 singles, B is a dual, and there's an added expense of about $600 for an extra one of these, which is just, we sell as a replacement part. But we do have customers, a fair number of them today, who are doing just that with divisible rooms.
Ryan, thank you so much for that. We do have a few more questions and we are nearing 1 o'clock. Do you have time to answer one more?
It's because I talk too much, isn't it?
Sorry?
Because I talk too much, I know.
The Nureva HDL300.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Nureva HDL300 has now been on the market for at least 2 years. What's in the product pipeline? Any upcoming release dates?
I'm going to be top secret about that.
Okay.
I want to be very careful in what I divulge there because, of course, I know more than I can tell you here. Can you bear with me for 1 second? Andrea,
Yeah.
would you do me a great favor?
Sure.
Would you go into Lazaritas and do a customer demo at one? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be more questions here, and I want to answer them. Just a second, hold on. It is, I want to see if it's Teams or Zoom. Sorry, guys. I've got a 1 o'clock demo, and Andrea's going to cover it. It's a Teams demo. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you're a Microsoft Teams user, I know there's lots of Zoom users. We are certified with Microsoft Teams, and that was a long process, almost as long as we've been in the market with this product. But they have put their stamp of approval on the HDL300. When it comes to, oh boy, see, there I did it again, Nicole. What was the question?
Question is, the Nureva HDL300 has now been on the market for at least 2 years.
Yep.
What's the product pipeline? Any upcoming release dates?
I can't divulge anything because nothing is, we're not ready to talk publicly about, but there are some very exciting features and new elements coming here within the calendar year. I just can't tell you what they are. I'm not allowed.
Okay, great. I think that given the time, it may be best to move into our giveaway.
Yeah, let's
We do have a few more questions. Sorry, Ryan.
Okay, tell you what, I will answer a couple more questions quickly as we do the draw. So you need what? You need me to name some numbers, don't you?
I do. I need numbers between 1 and 40. And a question that I can give you, I believe. Here we go. Does any presentation audio also come out of the system?
Fantastic.
For example, a short video displayed on one of the projectors.
Yep, great question. And the answer is yes. It is your USB audio. It's not any different than plugging your headset in. It's the speakers and microphones. So any program audio, whether that's a video, something online, music file, it's all going to play through the 20-watt speakers. Okay, here's my first number.
Ryan, just one more before you call it. What are your suggestions for installation locations in projector screen rooms?
I'm going to leave that one. And Benjamin, my buddy here, is going to be happy to take a look at that picture. Here's what I would do. I would ask you to send that picture to Lightworks. They will get it to me, and I will share it with Ben. And we will get back to you and tell you. All you have to do is take your phone and take a couple of pictures of the room, specifically where you know, around the projector screen, but also all of the walls. And we'll tell you where it's going to work best.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right.
Are you ready for my numbers?
I am ready for your numbers. What is your first number?
11.
Number 11. Okay. Adam Andrews, you are the winner of our first Amazon gift card, $50. Congratulations, Adam. You will be hearing from us at the end of the webinar so that we can grab your best contact address and send you over that gift card.
Congratulations, Adam. Woohoo! You need another number.
We do need another number.
39.
39. Okay. Robert Van Reel.
Congratulations, Robert. Way to go.
Congratulations. Okay, and one more.
What is that? 1 in 37? I don't do math. 1 in 40.
1 in 4.
Yeah. Okay. One more number. And our last winner is number 23.
Number 23. Congratulations to Erica Krishnik.
All right, Erica. Enjoy that gift card.
All right, I want to congratulate our 3 winners. You are going to be receiving a $50 Amazon gift card. And I want to say a special thank you to Ryan Blumfield from Nureva. As mentioned, Nureva is one of our preferred partners here at Lightworks. This is an incredible system. I am the education consultant here at Lightworks, and I've had the great good fortune of visiting many spaces, many hybrid learning spaces, and this is one of the most innovative full room coverage systems that we've seen. It's easy to use, and it's one of the easiest ways to ensure that teachers and students can be heard no matter where they are in the classroom in every inch of that space. So this again has turned into it. What started off as a luxury, I think, is now an expectation, as you mentioned. And there's this expectation that we can join remotely, we can keep a safe distance, we can hear, and we can be heard. And I think that you've done an excellent job of demonstrating this very flexible system that offers ease of use, is hands-free, no more lapel mics, no more holding onto a microphone, no more charging a microphone. And it's also adaptive. We can move it around if need be. So thank you so much for walking all around your space and hiding in corners for us, Ryan.
It's the best part of my day when I get to run around the room and hide in corners and make people go, wow, that's something, you know?
And as a reminder,
I mean, Nicole and I have known each other for what, 10 years. You're great. I just want to thank you and David and the whole team at Lightworks for hosting this today. I want to thank everybody who made time for the webinar, who put up with our little, stumbles and, my incessant voice. But I hope you found this valuable and really do appreciate that you made the time for the webinar today.
Thank you so much, Ryan. As a reminder, Lightworks is here to support schools and districts, universities, as they move forward with upgrading their classrooms to support hybrid, high flex, remote, and in-person learning. Please feel free to contact us. This is right in our wheelhouse. Please do check our website and look forward to an email regarding the recording of this webinar. It will be available in the next couple of days. For anyone who would like to share it or missed a certain portion. Thank you so much again, and have a wonderful day.